Now then, coming up next, sad times at Merthyr Town FC. Shaggy the sheep, the club's mascot, his days are numbered. Apparently, the name is no longer politically correct. We have asked Shaggy for a comment, but apparently he's been told not to say anything. More on that after this.
Weekdays on BBC Radio Wales.
Go to bed or wake up with Mal Pope at 5 a.m.
It's nice, isn't it? Nice quiet time of the day.
All the news in Good Morning Wales at 6:30.
Followed Monday to Thursday by Jason Mohammed at 9.
Now and again on this programme, I say to you, it is time to turn up your radio. Now is that time.
And on Fridays by Dot Davis.
Spread the word. It's very clever advertising.
Wyn Evans is larger than life at 11.
What could possibly go wrong there? This sounds brilliant.
The Radio Wales lunchtime news at 1 is followed by Larry Shawn at 1:15.
Hiya. Yes, you did hear correctly.
That's weekdays from 5 a.m.
I only listen to Radio Wales.
We'll clip that for our next trail.
BBC Radio Wales.
Dot Davis with you until 11 o'clock this morning. Now, a football team has decided to get rid of their mascot because they're concerned his name is inappropriate. Merthyr Town FC say they're replacing Shaggy the sheep because he puts across the wrong impression of the club. Our reporter, Brendan Williams, has been asking Radio Wales listeners outside the Racecourse Stadium in Wrexham if they think Shaggy should be ditched.
Nonsense, absolute nonsense. It's a mascot for a football venue. The world's gone mad if that's if people have got issues with that sort of thing. Silly.
You're a Wrexham fan. What's the mascot here?
Rex the Dragon. A little bit bonkers. Certainly not politically incorrect.
It's a proper Welsh name. I can't see there being any issues with Shaggy the sheep, personally.
What do you think should replace him?
I'd definitely stick with Shaggy. Shaggy the sheep for me, yeah. Well, not for me personally, but Shaggy the sheep.
It's probably a poor choice of words. I can understand why people would have found that very funny, but in these days, I guess the connotations aren't great.
You're from Germany. Do you have football mascots over there?
Yes, in Cologne, a goat.
A goat?
A goat, yeah.
So you have no problem with sheep?
No.
Or the name Shaggy?
Not at all, no. Then the Cologne goat is always in the stadium. It's a living one.
Well, a lot of support for Shaggy in Wrexham. Let me bring in Philip Jones here, who's the Business Development Manager at Merthyr Town FC. Hello, Philip.
Good morning, Dot. Bore Dark here.
Well, this has got everybody talking. Poor old Shaggy. Why does he need to be replaced?
Oh, little did we think that this story would end up where it has. It went online last Thursday. And as you know, with this wonderful World Wide Web that we have, there was a slight misrepresentation in the report, which, has had benefits for Merthyr Town Football Club. I think it had 10,000 hits on the story.
So misrepresented, Philip, misrepresented in what way? Are you or are you not getting rid of Shaggy the sheep?
Shaggy the sheep was the mascot of Merthyr Tydfil Football Club. Merthyr Tydfil Football Club unfortunately folded, as we all aware, went in 2010. We are now Merthyr Town Football Club, and for the last 6 years, we haven't had a mascot up at the club. We've had lots of issues to deal with, promotion on 3 occasions over the last 6 years. We've got a £1.8 million redevelopment going on at the ground. We feel now we're in a position where we can engage, as we continue to engage with the community. We've launched this competition through primary schools and community groups. Little did we think we would have a media frenzy regarding an outdated mascot.
Outdated? Come on, Phil. What's the matter with him, really?
Factual comments. We lost the costume, because obviously of all, the last 6 years with all the redevelopment going on, the actual costume is lost. It was attached to Merthyr Tydfil, so we felt that, Merthyr Town needs a new mascot. Sean the Sheep is doing very well out there. I think he's secured a second movie deal, and he's got another series coming up.
He's cornered the market.
and if the imagination of the young people in Merthyr and the wider area now can come up with a character, and it is a sheep, and people on the panel vote for it, so be it. But we are a family focused club up here. We've won the UEFA Grassroots Football Club Award. We're very much community focused. We think there's other characters out there, and I'm sure the imagination of the young people in Merthyr will reflect that as well.
So you've asked the young people of Merthyr Tydfil to design or to come up with a new mascot. I mean, what are you looking for? What do you want in an ideal world here?
Well, it's something that will be community focused, something that will reflect not just football. Merthyr Town Football Club, the very heart of what we do is obviously the football, but the club is 24/7. Another reason maybe that somebody has said already, Shaggy the Sheep is gone, is the fact there's not a grass pitch here. We've got a 3G AstroTurf. It's used by community groups throughout the week. We're looking to go out into the community and embrace the community through football. We've launched homophobia campaigns, mental awareness campaigns, etc. We really want to go out there and lead, and we feel that a mascot reflecting the historic value of Merthyr and the growth and the future prospects of this area would be welcomed at a children's party, and carnivals and other events that we could actually go along and be representative as well. Shaggy the Sheep, unfortunately, as I said, has had negative comments. I appreciate our colleagues up in Wrexham, but I was down at Newport recently when we were playing Portsmouth, and there was negative sort of comments attached to that aspect of it. And as I said, as a family, I'm more interested in developing projects with local primary schools where the child can come home and talk about a community and ask their parents, is it 2 M's in community rather than is it 2 G's in Shaggy?
Well, I've got to read this one to you, Phil. A tweet from Darren Lewis. He says, "No, Shaggy the Sheep should stay with Merthyr Town FC for life. He is a legend. Is there an opportunity here for a send-off at least, Phil, for poor Shaggy?"
Well, if we could find a costume, that would be a start.
Where is it?
Sorry?
Where's the costume?
We got no idea, honestly. If you come up to the ground, Dot, and you are welcome to come up at any time. We've got a few home games remaining at the end of this particular season. We've secured our status within the Southern Premier Division for this year and look for promotion going forward. It's £1.8 million redevelopment. It's brand new. We're welcoming community clubs such as Slimming World, right through to local business partners in the area as well. It's a fresh start for us. As I said, for six years we haven't had a mascot. We would like to develop a new mascot with the young people in this area as well, and I'm sure their imagination will be quite vivid. We are built on a site of a Roman fort. Obviously, the industrial heritage, etc. I'm sure they'll come up with something very, very imaginative. And Dot, the welcome is there on the first day of the new mascot. You're more than welcome to come up and be.
Oh, that sounds lovely. There are Merthyr old football programmes in our house because my other half used to follow Merthyr when he was a young lad. So we've got a lot of that memorabilia going on in our house. I'll take you up on that invite. So how do people submit their mascot designs?
We've all the information is online via the club website. That's merthyrtownfc.co.uk. It basically, submissions have to be in by April the 15th and by noon on that particular day, and they can just be on A4 piece of paper, they can be IT printed, etc. That's all we ask, obviously, that it's original and that the character reflects the imagination of that young person. And then we're working with a mascot designer from Manchester, and they will look to make sure that the costume is durable, etc. There might be a few little tweaks on it just to make sure that we can use it on a daily basis. And the winner then will be very lucky to receive a hospitality package. We have 4 executive box rooms here in the new stadium, and they'll have hospitality for their family for the day as well as being the match mascot alongside their new creation.
Phil, it does sound really exciting. Sad for Shaggy, but very exciting. Well, you mentioned them there. Let me bring them in then. Rob Ferry is in Deganwy, and he's the co-owner of Frenzy Creative Limited. They're a specialist mascot manufacturer who are working with Merthyr Town FC to help them choose a winning mascot. Hello, Rob.
Hello.
So, how often does this happen? How often do clubs change their mascots?
It does happen quite often.
Does it?
And it does actually quite often kick up quite a stir when it happens as well, particularly if the fan base aren't consulted, because, as you've heard, people have very strong feelings about mascots.
People get attached.
They do, and they identify the mascot as part of the club, which they support. So when that goes away, I think they feel that there's something being lost about the club. But it sounds like, from what we're hearing there, that Merthyr haven't had Shaggy in place for 6 years. So there might be some sort of historical feelings towards this mascot. And I think the whole politically correct angle has been blown out of proportion, maybe. But again, even in Wrexham, people, I think the issue is more about political correctness and how it's manifesting itself in society rather than Shaggy, maybe, because people are probably a bit sick of people saying that things are changing for that reason. Okay. I don't know.
What's the secret of a good mascot? Why do clubs have mascots? What's their purpose?
I think these days it's because they are involved in a lot more than just appearing on match days. There is a lot of community work that takes place behind most football clubs these days. And when we are making mascots, we're more often than not dealing with the community teams that reside within the clubs. I think that the important thing about a mascot is that it reflects the club and its values. And I think that's why Merthyr are looking to sort of make a change, because they're doing a lot more diverse work in the community. So I think it's going to be important that the mascot reflects more than just what it's going to do on match day, probably.
Because, I would imagine they'll be flooded with entries for this. What's your top tip for being successful? Because it'll be some prize, won't it? Being the person to come up with a new mascot for Merthyr Town FC, that's quite some accolade.
It is, and I think sometimes kids are quite best placed to do it because they're so imaginative. And even if their design isn't the most practical, it can be tweaked to make something quite amazing, really. And I think sometimes adults can think a lot about a mascot and how it can work and how it should reflect certain values. And I think sometimes the important thing is its relevance and it being easily interpreted. So, it's got to work on a few levels, I think, and it's got to be fairly obvious. I think sometimes when sort of the design is managed by a committee, the whole thing can become very lost, and you can have a mascot, and then someone will go up to it and they'll say, well, what is it? Because even though to the adults it may represent certain values, to someone who's a kid who may just want the opportunity to have a selfie or a cuddle, it doesn't really look like anything. So I think the big thing for me is to have a mascot that no one looks at it and says, well, what is it?
We want to know what it is.
Odd. Yeah.
Rob, lovely talking to you this morning. It's a great story. We've got to give the final word to Shaggy, haven't we? Well, it's a tweet from Al Twitter, who says, support really. Of course he should stay. Welsh people love him. But sadly, it is farewell to Shaggy the sheep.